As Christian leaders, we hear it all the time. God has not given you us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. And yet, if we are truly honest, many of us are leading companies and organizations and teams with fear running in the background every single day. Now, it might not look like fear from the outside. It looks like endless meetings, late nights, rechecking numbers, rereading contracts, or maybe just simply lying at 3 a.m. in the morning, second guessing a decision that everyone else thinks that you've already made. Now, I want to talk to you today about what fear and anxiety really do to leaders at the highest level. And I want to give you a practical framework grounded in both science and scripture that can help you lead without fear running the boardroom. Because here's the truth. Fear and anxiety don't just drain your energy, they change the way your brain makes decisions every single day. And when you're responsible for billions of dollars and hundreds of employees or the reputation of your organization, that's not a small thing. Let's start with the science first. You see, I'm a pharmacist by training. So I've spent years training and studying the way our bodies and brains respond under stress. When you face constant pressure, deadlines, investors, board members, the weight of your team's livelihoods, your body just interprets this as threat. It doesn't care that it's not a lion that's chasing you across a field. To your nervous system, pressure is pressure. And what happens is your adrenal glands release cortisol and adrenaline. These two chemicals, they shift the resources in your brain away from the prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of your brain that does all the strategic thinking, long-term planning, and risk assessment. And it moves it all towards the amygdala, the part that was designed for your survival. So in plain terms, you are fully capable, but in those moments, your brain is wired for short-term reaction instead of long-term wisdom. And that's why leaders under chronic stress often find themselves more reactive, more impatient, and sometimes making decisions that they later regret. And it's really not a character flaw, it's actually your chemistry. And I want to share something with you today that will change the way you approach this. Firstly, if you're a faith-based leader, let's look at this through scripture. The Bible is very clear. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition, present your requests to God." It's not saying you'll never feel anxiety. It's saying you don't have to let anxiety run the show. Think about leaders like Moses. He felt overwhelmed, he felt unqualified, and he felt anxious about leading his people. Or Nehemiah, for example, who had to face enemies while rebuilding the wall with one hand on the work and the other on a weapon. Now, they didn't pretend anxiety didn't exist, but they learned how to honor and anchor in God's presence so fear didn't dictate their decisions. And the same is true for you. As a Christian executive, your role isn't just to lead a company, it's to steward influence, resources, and people in a way that honors God. And you can't do that at your best if anxiety is driving every single decision that you make. So let me share with you about a practical framework you can start using today. I call it the 3 P's reset. What is it? Pause, physiology, and prayer. The step 1, pause. Before you step into a high-stakes meeting, before you pick up the phone to make a call you've been dreading, just stop for 30 seconds. Acknowledge what's happening. I'm feeling pressure. My body is preparing for battle. Now, something like as simple as that awareness alone is powerful. Step 2, physiology. This is where science meets stewardship. Do one quick physical reset that tells your nervous system it's actually safe. It might be something as simple as unclenching your jaws, relaxing your shoulders, or doing a discrete tension release exercise under the table. Now, those tiny actions signal safety to your brain and start to shift you back into clarity mode. The third one, and a really powerful one, is prayer. Right there in the middle of your busy day, take one moment to pray. It doesn't have to be long. Something as simple as, Lord, give me wisdom and a sound mind right now. Prayer isn't just spiritual, it's a neurological feature. Studies have shown that prayer and meditation actually calm the parts of the brain that are responsible for fear. It's literally rewiring your response. And then pause, physiology, and prayer. It's simple, but I've seen this reset change how executives walk into meetings, how they negotiate deals, and how they carry themselves as leaders. Now, you might be wondering, why does this work? Well, when you combine awareness, which is pause, and you combine physical intervention, physiology, spiritual anchoring, and prayer, you are hitting all three levels of human performance: the mind, the body, and the spirit. So instead of pretending anxiety doesn't exist, you're learning to actually steward it, to redirect it into clarity, wisdom, and peace. And here's what happens when you practice this consistently. You sleep better, you think more clearly, your decisions carry more weight, and your people feel safer following you because you're leading from a place of calm authority instead of anxious reaction. I want you to think about this for a few minutes. Just pause even now and think about this. And also, before you go, let me ask you, what would change in your leadership if fear wasn't running the background of your mind? If you could maybe perhaps walk into your next boardroom knowing your decisions were anchored in both the wisdom of neuroscience and the peace of God's Spirit. And this is exactly what I help my clients build. Not theory, but daily practices and systems that allow them to lead without fear, calling the shots. If this resonates with you, and if what I've shared has touched you in some way, I'd love to have a private conversation with you. Send me a message here on LinkedIn, or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description and let's talk about how we can build this framework into your leadership. Because leading without fear isn't just possible, it's the way that you were called